Hey everyone, so this week I didn't get a chance to do a video, just busy filling out orders and all that. I guess the Christmas rush is upon me, so hence why I didn't do a video last week. I just didn't have the time to. So this week I didn't get a chance to make a full video of making something, but I figured I still get a lot of questions about my press, so I'm going to just take a couple of minutes to talk about a little bit of stuff with my mini press that I have. So basically going over the air compressor and how I control the press, those are the two main questions I get. It's actually really hard to do because it's kind of jammed in the corner. My compressor is jammed in the corner, and well, I got a little bit more stuff in here than usual. So with my compressor, I'm only going to go over the details you need to know, the important ones you need to know to run that press. So first of all, it's a 60-gallon tank. It runs 12.5, in theory, 12.5 CFMs at 100 PSI. The tank, I fill it to 150 PSI, like that's when the pump shuts off. And this pump is a 50% duty cycle, so in a 10-minute session, that pump can be running for 5 minutes, and then I need to let it rest for 5 minutes. The PSI I run at the press, I have found that 80 PSI is more than enough to move that press, and I don't notice any slowdown between 80 and 120 PSI, which is the max for that press. This pump, this setup, I cannot run that press as a production mode. And what I mean by production is when that steel is actually hot enough to start forging, like where I want it to be, I can't just go to the press and press every single time. Sometimes I have to stop and wait for that cycle of cool down for this pump. The hose I just use a regular 3/8 airline. I don't notice any bottleneck between using the 3/8 or going up to a 1/2 inch or anything like that. 3/8 is more than enough, and that's just your regular airline. So with that said, over to the press. So how I control the press, the up motion, I have this little foot, I use it as a foot thing, but this is the valve that originally came with this bottle jack. I have just it down here cable tied so it doesn't flop around, and it's always in the position I want it. I just have that actually as my foot press, as my foot trigger, and it seems to work good. I haven't had any problems with it, just with a simple cable tied to my frame. Okay, so with controlling the down motion, all I have is that little release valve that you have on the bottle jacks. All I did was I grinded down those little nubs that could stick out on the side, welded on a nut so I have a bigger surface area so I can weld on this flat bar. And all I have to do is lower it down and the press will lower up and it will stay where I put it. Okay, so that's pretty well, the information for the compressor that you're going to need, and that's how I control my press. Yes, there is better ways to control these kind of press. I just don't, I don't have the time right now to make any modifications with this press, nor do I actually want to. This was really meant to be an experiment and prototype. I've learned a lot. I'm glad I built it. I learned a lot. And if I was going to build this again with what I know, it would not be like this at all. So if you are, if you have watched the other videos and you're like, oh, I can build that this weekend, I really advise you to take some time, really think of what you're going to build, and not just look at what other people have done with just the bottle jack system, but look at the full hydraulic systems that people have built. And because I find that their designs on the frames are far superior than what I've seen with these cheap man bottle jack forges. So what I would do if I was going to had time to rebuild this, I would probably build more like the full hydraulic system, the true hydraulic systems, and just make an adapter to remove normally what is just the hydraulic cylinder and put it in the bottle jack. And then when you actually have the money to do the information you need and the research done to go to a full hydraulic system, you can easily just swap this out and put in the cylinder. That's the route I would go if I was going to do this again. But, it has been a good learning experience. I just wouldn't recommend it.